So in my house, it's always just been my mother, my older brother, and me. And for as long as I can remember, my family has been a healing wound. Seems like we do everything in our power to close the void created when a crack crystallized into a rock and was thrown at a glass house. I was born in '92. Among the shards of our broken home and the casualties of a war on drugs. As a kid, I know better than to step on any cracks when walking down streets in fear my mother's spine might bend to the point of breaking. If she saw me with so much of a cigarette, she would have beat my ass. I would have got a slash for every childhood memory of hi, my name is so-and-so and I'm an addict. As if the trauma for those stories didn't already echo through the chambers of my heart, as if I wasn't humbled and terrified to the point of abstinence. So as a kid, instead of using drugs to escape my fate, I would use my hands to liberate video games from the local Walmart. I was 10 years old, getting high off the thrill of stealing from the rich and giving to myself. The poor kid with the afro, the complexion of a dirty penny, and the dirty penny loafers who always makes the honor roll. So on test day, all the kids come to me like, psst, what's the answer to number 3? And 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, 8, and 9, 10. Oh, and 1 and 2. But they never knew or seemed to care how or where I got those answers. What environment pressured me to adapt to this system. They never knew I was the son of a scientist. See, my mother was a chemist. Back in the 80s, that's when Julian was born. He was a failed at-home abortion. He was less than 2 pounds. He was hydrocephalus and what they call developmentally disabled. He was a weight my mother wasn't ready to carry. So she carried her happiness around in test tubes with a handheld Bunsen burner always in her pocket. See, she used chemistry to cope with her depression, turned her body into a laboratory and her brain into a science experiment. She was testing freebase, seeing if her hypothesis was correct, and if she heated this substance to a certain degrees of Fahrenheit, then she would become a heroine. She would rise up from the ashes in the tray like a firebird, and she would be able to save her own life. In science, chemistry is the study of things that matter and how they change. Like a 5-year-old miracle who needs his mother, like finding love in the cold sweat of a rehab institution, like marrying the father of your second child and all the hormones that go into feeling that you got it right this time. But change is the only constant in all of science. My father, he changed. He changed from a man to an NA for non-applicable, in which I put on the application in an attempt to fill the space where father goes, for NA for all the salt in my family's tears, NA for Narcotics Anonymous, that raised me better than he ever could. Empty hallways have hugged me longer than his arms, and yet somehow he still got a hold on me. For some reason, I still accept his friend requests on Facebook. I still upload pictures of his grandson just so he can see him smiling. And even though my mother is still healing from the wound he turned her into, she thinks I should send him a message. I would say, do you know how hard she fell for you? Almost as hard as she fell that night after you left. That night she slipped on the rug at the top of the 2 steps by the side door. That night she was holding onto that pot of boiling grease like it was her marriage. That night she screamed, but the pain soaked her voice into a whisper. That night she doesn't remember being flown to the hospital. But you know what she does remember? She remembers waking up to tell that doctor no morphine. No morphine because she knew the side effects of superpowers well enough to know she did not need heroin to become more Wonder Woman than Superman. But to me, she was more like Storm. The way she changed the weather of her life from winter to warm winds, I was so surprised how big of a difference just 2 degrees made. Graduated, subtracted 6 years of self-hate, and added the summer self-love to her life, and ended up with a hallelujah. It is holy how our blood is built in our bones because our heart is not made to hold up a house. My family, we bleed like endless rivers, but we recover like healing wounds. We be sturdy like the bricks on the first house that my mind can remember. We be rooted in God's marrow, our bones buried deep enough in the earth so our heads can hold up the sky, so that even when it rains tears, even when we cry, we rise. Woo!